Yeah, stay prepared for the up and downs. Life is like a seesaw.
What's going on, guys? Just another critic here. Closing out my Week 8 college football predictions with my upset alerts. For those of you who are new here, my upset alerts have been pretty fire. I only started doing them in Week 3. I probably should have started them earlier because, I don't know, I guess I got a kind of a knack for this thing. But yeah, so starting from Week 3, I'll kind of give you my track record. Week 3, I had Furman versus Virginia Tech on the upset alert. Furman lost by a touchdown. Really some bull crap calls that didn't go their way. Georgia Southern versus Minnesota, who's 6-0 right now. I put them on upset alert. Georgia Southern literally lost on the last play of the game. And then I also had NIU versus Nebraska. That one didn't come close to hitting at all. Next week, Week 4, I had SMU taking on TCU. For my upset alert, TCU was ranked at the time. SMU coming in as an underdog. Obviously, SMU beat them, put themselves in the top 25. And then I also had Appalachia State taking on North Carolina as another one of my upset alerts. Appalachia State obviously came out, won that game. I think the final was 34-31. And then I also, in that week, I had a third one that wasn't close to coming through at all, which was Florida at Tennessee, which ended up being a blowout. My Week 5 upset alerts were Kansas versus TCU. Didn't really play out that well. And then Notre Dame taking on Virginia. And Virginia was in that game for about, a half to 3/4, and then Notre Dame pulled away. So not my strongest week in Week 5. Moving on to Week 6, another strong week where I had Washington taking on Stanford, and that was my upset alert pick, where obviously Stanford beat Washington and gave them their second loss of the season. And then that same week I had SMU versus Tulsa. I had SMU getting upset versus Tulsa. Tulsa had about a 3-touchdown lead, ended up giving up that lead and losing in double or triple overtime. So that one was close to hitting, didn't happen, but hey, it is what it is. And then in Week 7, the week we just came out of, I had Georgia versus South Carolina on my upset alert picks. A lot of people didn't see that coming. I guess I did. And then USC taking on Notre Dame. USC really should have won that game if they didn't make some late game mistakes. But another close call there, losing to Notre Dame 30-27. And then my last one that didn't come through was Hawaii versus Boise State. Hawaii literally just gave that game away to Boise State, turning the ball over on 3 consecutive drives in their own territory. And that is pretty much where Boise State ran away with it. But if they didn't do that, they had a real legitimate shot at winning the game. But we can't play on what-ifs. So coming into Week 8, my upset alerts right now, starting off with Texas taking on Kansas. I understand it might be a long shot to a lot of you, and the way you're viewing it is, right, man, Texas just came off of a loss versus Oklahoma. They would never come out a week later and get their, manhood taken away from them by a Kansas team, right? I get that logic, but at the same time, what I've seen from Texas is that their defense is unable to tackle in space. They have trouble tackling people in space. And while Kansas isn't, the most amazing team, they've got some athletes and some speedsters at the skilled position at running back with Puka Williams, and then, a few guys at wide receiver. Their defense, Texas's defense as a whole, hasn't been playing very well. And offensively, obviously Ehlinger, I don't blame last week's loss on Ehlinger at all. I think he had a phenomenal game. His wide receivers really just didn't help him out as much as they really should have, and they were expected to, because they had a lot of hype coming in, and they dropped some balls that they really should have caught. And so while I don't think this is going to be, anything like the South Carolina-Georgia game, if anything, it's going to be a shootout, just a back and forth, because like I said, right now the way Texas's defense is playing, they're hurt. I get it. That's just another reason for me to, inch even closer to Kansas pulling this off. With all the injuries, with the way they haven't been able to tackle in space, it's just a bad matchup, right? I understand Texas is playing at home, and they should recover. They should, reset in this game and win by 3 touchdowns. But do I think that'll happen? I'm not convinced. I think Kansas has a legitimate shot at winning this game, but of course Texas should win this game. Moving on to my second upset alert, I have Michigan beating Penn State, and I've already talked about that in my college football prediction with number 16 Michigan going to Penn State. If you want to hear all the details on that, I already covered that in a separate audio, video, wherever you're listening to this. And so yeah, Michigan versus Penn State. Then my last upset alert pick for the week is number 18 Baylor taking on Oklahoma State. I think this will probably end up being another shootout. Oklahoma State's just got too many weapons. Quarterback Spencer Sanders, Chuba Hubbard at running back, and then Tylan Wallace at wide receiver. Baylor, their inability to slow down Texas Tech and their dual threat quarterback. I understand the score was 20-17 in the fourth quarter, and really most of the scores came from OT, but I don't think that'll be the case in this week. I think this is going to be a shootout in regulation. I think Baylor has been playing very well on both sides of the ball, pretty balanced attack. But I think with the way that Oklahoma State plays and really the weapons that they have on that team, they can turn this into a shootout. But yeah, Baylor's been playing well. But whenever you play a team that has this many weapons in Oklahoma State, and yeah, they can just beat you in so many different ways. But yeah, this should be a good matchup, a fun game to watch. But those are my three upset alert picks: Texas taking on Kansas, Michigan at Penn State, Baylor at Oklahoma State. I think I've pretty much covered everything. I may do one more video or audio doing my best bets for the weekend for those of you guys betting on college football. But yeah, with that being said, I appreciate you guys for supporting the channel, listening to my podcast, or watching the videos on YouTube. Yeah, all the support is awesome. With all that, hope you guys have a great rest of your day, evening, or night. This is Just Another Critic, signing off. Peace.
Yeah, stay prepared for the up and downs. Life is like a seesaw. Some say it's a bitch, man. I couldn't agree.